All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about a topic that, well, it gets a lot of heat in the sales world, commission-only sales. It's one of those things that really fires people up. But today, we're going to look at why pretty much everyone might be having the wrong argument.
You've seen this, right? I mean, spend 5 minutes on LinkedIn or any career forum, and this is the general vibe. People see it as exploitative, like a company trying to get free work. And honestly, for a lot of pros, that's where the conversation just stops. But what if that whole perspective is based on a massive misunderstanding? What if we're trying to measure a business model with a yardstick made for a job? If we do that, we might be missing the entire point.
And that gets us right to the heart of the matter. We're all having the wrong conversation. It's not that the criticisms are completely off base. It's that they're applying the rules of employment to something that isn't employment at all. It operates on a totally different set of principles.
And there it is. That's the key. The mistake isn't asking hard questions. We should be doing that. The real issue is the category error we make right from the jump. We're confusing being an employee with being an entrepreneur. And once you see that distinction, everything changes.
So, let's actually make that shift. Let's try on a new set of glasses for a minute and switch our perspective from that of an employee to that of a business owner. Believe me, this is way more than just a change in words. It's a whole new way of seeing the world. You can really see the two different worlds laid out here. The employment mindset, it's all about security. You expect a guaranteed paycheck, and in return, you trade away some of your autonomy. But the entrepreneurial mindset, well, it completely flips that equation. It's about chasing uncapped potential, having total control, and deeply understanding that you have to create revenue first before you can even think about taking an income.
And this is the line that makes it all click. Just think about it for a second. Every single founder, every small business owner, every entrepreneur out there is, by their very nature, commission only. They only make money if the business makes money. There's no salary department cutting them a check. Revenue has to come first, always.
And that's exactly why we need to shift our language. We need to stop thinking salesperson and start thinking independent sales professional. This isn't someone who's desperate and can't land a salary gig. No. This is a business owner who makes a very strategic choice to be an expert in the most vital part of any company, bringing in the cash in exchange for total freedom and unlimited upside.
Okay, so if it's a form of entrepreneurship, you might be thinking, isn't that incredibly risky? Well, not necessarily. Actually, when it's done right, this can be one of the lowest risk ways to be an entrepreneur. It's a calculated, pretty savvy move.
You know, whenever someone says this path is risky, you have to ask the most important question. Compared to what? Is it riskier than starting a company from scratch with all your own money? Is it riskier than tying your entire family's financial future to one single employer that could lay you off next quarter? Risk is all about context. And just look at all the massive risks an independent sales pro gets to sidestep. A typical startup founder, they're worrying about product development, hiring people, payroll, rent, insurance, not to mention raising tons of capital. The independent pro avoids all of that. They don't have to build the machine, they just partner with companies that already have.
And that's really the magic of it, right there. This is a model where you get to share directly in the success you create, that's the upside, without being crushed by the weight of all the operational and financial burdens, the downside, that sink most new businesses. It's kind of like entrepreneurship with a built-in safety net.
But let's be real for a second. Not all of these opportunities are good ones, not by a long shot. The model itself isn't the problem, it's how it's executed. So, the real skill is knowing how to tell the difference between a genuine business partnership and a bad deal just disguised as an unpaid job.
Okay, these are the red flags. These are the signs that tell you to run for the hills. If a company is micromanaging you, demanding you show up for mandatory meetings, or telling you that you can't work with anyone else, they don't want a partner. They want an employee they don't have to pay for. A real partnership respects that you are your own business.
Now on the flip side, this is what a real partnership looks like. They've already got a product that sells. They respect your independence completely. The commission structure is generous and crystal clear. But the real game changer? Residual or recurring income. That is how you build a real sustainable business, not just chasing a new sale every single day.
And you can see that thinking right here. Take a look at what the seasoned pros, the ones who are really successful at this, actually prioritize. It's not the upfront commission rate. Nope. The biggest piece of that pie, by far, is recurring commission. Why? Because that's your asset.
That's how you build stable, compounding income without having to start from zero every month.
So the ethical line isn't about salary versus no salary. It's about the structure of the partnership. It becomes unethical when a company demands the control they'd have over an employee, but refuses to provide the security of employment. A truly ethical partnership is built on three things: respecting autonomy, aligning risk with reward, and being totally transparent.
So, now that we have this new way of looking at things, the obvious question is, how do you find these great partnerships? How do you actually put this idea into practice and avoid all those bad deals? And that really gets to the final piece of this puzzle. You know, for years, the biggest problem wasn't the model itself. It was just that it was so hard to find the good stuff. You had to dig through endless listings on generic job sites just to find one or two legitimate professional partnerships. And this is where things are changing. Specialized platforms are now solving this exact problem. They act as a curated marketplace, vetting all the opportunities to make sure they're real partnerships. They connect companies that get it with experienced sales entrepreneurs who are looking for them. Commission Crowd is a perfect example of this. They are focused specifically on creating that high-quality professional environment.
Let's wrap up with this thought. For the kind of salesperson who truly values their freedom, who wants to build something of their own, and who believes in their ability to generate revenue, this isn't a step back. It is a massive upgrade. It's an upgrade from being an employee to being the CEO of your own career.
And that really leaves us with one final question to chew on. In a world where layoffs can happen overnight, is putting all your faith in a single employer really the safe choice? Or is it possible that the biggest risk of all is failing to build a diversified, independent business that truly belongs to you?